What is going on, everyone?
How's it going, everyone?
Back with another Village video covering the Duke.
The Duke.
A.k.a. the Merchant.
The Merchant, the Extraordinaire. The Duke's Emporium is his store. The Merchant is back. One of everybody's favorite things about Resident Evil 4 was really the Merchant. And this time, it looks like he was tweaked to be even better this time around. So, Anthony, why don't you go over some of the changes that they're making to the Merchant?
The one thing that they're doing this time with the Merchant is you are able to buy and craft ammo now from what the Merchant. So you can actually purchase ammunition and multiple health options from the Merchant. Now, we know in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, the shop or Merchant shop was essentially just giving you upgrades. You can upgrade your weapons. You can obviously buy, grenade rounds and stuff like that in the past, but you couldn't buy actual ammo for other guns. This is now changing, and so now you do get ammo when you're in a jam and when you're stuck in a situation. Now, I'm sure that they're going to put a cap on it. I'm sure you can't just spam and farm the Merchant for that. So they're going to do that in a particular way where it makes sense and it's balanced. But that is going to be a big change in how they do the Merchant. Another thing different is that he is now going to be baked into the village in regards to doing certain things around the game in different scenarios. So kind of like how you saw him in different areas in RE4, but this time he'll be having little side conversations with Ethan, stuff like that. And of course, you could still upgrade your weapons, but you can also sell your stuff for lei currency, which is going to be the currency here in Resident Evil Village. So all the good stuff from the original Merchant and more.
Yeah, and more, basically. So some of the things that I'm really excited about with Resident Evil Village is not only the Merchant, the return of the Merchant and weapon upgrades. I've gone on record in the past and say I'm not a super big fan of weapon upgrades. I kind of think they're unnecessary. However, in Village, that might not necessarily ring true because we are getting weapon charm slots and the ability to modify our weapons, which is the other topic we're going to discuss in this video. After the Merchant, is we just kind of want to talk about the possibilities and kind of like what we want to see from the weapon charms. I really think being able to upgrade your weapons and then carry over into New Game Plus would be awesome. I don't know how exactly they're going to do that though, and hopefully you don't lose everything when you start a New Game Plus, because part of playing the game and becoming overpowered and going into New Game Plus is the fun of replay value. You get to go in guns blazing. I hope we get to keep our weapon charms and everything like that. What do you think about the weapon charms and the weapon sockets on top of being able to be upgraded? Do you think that's a really cool system? Because I think it adds layer of complexities that makes the game more interesting on subsequent playthroughs.
Yeah, I think it adds a little bit more to the Merchant aspect of it than just normal upgrades. So weapon charms are kind of like perks. So you get like certain abilities, I'm assuming, with those weapons. If that's the case, I think it adds more to unlock, more to go through for like a New Game Plus and stuff like that. So, and also trying to find a balance as to what works, better with which weapons you end up choosing, because we know this is already going to be an action-oriented Resident Evil with more of those elements in there. So you clearly want to be able to make the right options and choose the right stuff, in which, before you go into certain parts of the combat, you might be able to make those switches to your perks before you go in. So stuff like that would be really cool.
It would
just
be
adds another layer of stuff they haven't done before. They're just trying something new, which isn't wrong.
No, wrong is, new is not wrong until we see it.
Yeah,
right?
Unless it doesn't work, or
if it doesn't
too
work,
OP, or if it doesn't really work. But it worked in RE4 and 5, so until they got rid of it.
So what are some of the weapon charms you think they might add, and what kind of things would you like to see? Because there wasn't a lot of details on the weapon charms in particular. We know that we're getting some weapon charms, such as the Mr. Everywhere bobblehead, and the Mr. Raccoon. Like they were talking about how they were going to be weapon charms. But what do you really think they're going to do? I would imagine that the Mr. Raccoon, because what did you get for getting all the Mr. Raccoons? You got the infinite knife, right?
Right.
Maybe the Mr. Raccoon gives you some type of infinite ammo perk.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which would be weird because I feel like that as a pre-order bonus is a little overpowered, but we kind of saw overpowered pre-order bonuses with Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah. They gave
Not
you
quite
those
infinite
handguns,
ammo, but
they gave you power guns for the scenario, for the opposite scenarios.
Very powerful guns.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Chris, Jill, and Albert Wesker modeled samurai edges
were
really powerful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, not a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people didn't buy the Unlock Everything pack because I'm pretty sure it came out later than just launch day before they actually offered that as an option. But when you go into that game with infinite handgun bullets, like, you can beat that game with just an infinite handgun. So what do you think Mr. Raccoon's going to do? Because I would imagine Mr. Raccoon is going to do something with infinite ammo, because that's what he was doing in Raccoon City.
Yeah, so either infinite ammo, or maybe your ammo pickups might increase, or some kind of pickup might increase more odds for better ammo. Maybe they could start dropping enhanced ammo of some sort, something like that. You know what I mean? If you add those perks on there, because I'm trying to think of stuff that wouldn't benefit in just like upgrades, because obviously like capacity and
they're all going to be weapon parts and upgrades,
recoil and all stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's all going to be part of that. So
also interesting, it almost seems like there's a 3-layer customizability, right? Because you have weapon parts, then you have your weapon upgrades,
right? And the parts you can just find sometimes, like,
or
if
you
they
can buy
it
them,
like 2 and 3 remake, or you can buy them, but like you can just find them hanging around in safes and stuff like that. Like,
and then on top of that, you have weapon charms.
Yeah.
So like, let me build you a scenario, right? So imagine you have a rifle, and then you add a bigger magazine to it by upgrading it. Then you add a trigger, which allows you to do 2-round burst, right? Let's just pretend that's going to be a thing.
And then you add a perk that has
you add
stability for aiming.
Stability for aiming, or you add a perk that allows it to pierce your target.
Or pierce armor.
Pierce armor.
Armor enemies.
Yeah. Or increases the amount of knockback or something like that.
Yeah.
Increases the amount of whatever.
Yeah.
Increases, maybe gives your bullets shock value. So they shock, they get electrocuted and stunned. Maybe it gives them flame attribute, which means enemies that are weaker to fire, or they burn over time and they take damage and they can die. What do you think about them adding, it's almost like RPG elements.
Yeah, just adding more pieces to the puzzle, and as far as like, you're not just getting a gun and basically that's it. Like, that's how it was in 7. Like, if you compare to this to Resident Evil 7, as far as like it's night and day. They're giving you a lot more to play with and customize for the player, and like what they might, like, you might prefer a certain style than I prefer. So it's like, you play it a couple different times. Like, we're going to have different styles of where you can go. Because like, you remember how they mentioned, like, you can choose in the first developer breakdown that we did, they talked about how you can like kind of choose where you want to go in the village first. So like, you can obviously, once you mess around with the perks and options, you can just adjust to where you're going.
Where you're going.
Yeah,
if there's going to be weaknesses and stuff.
So there's layers to it, like you said.
Also, I wonder in the I forget which gameplay trailer it was. I think it was I want to say it was the showcase.
The Tokyo Game Show one?
No, the showcase one. The showcase play when Peter was talking. I swear there's a part where the enemy with the sword is shot and he drops his sword, and there's an X prompt. Meaning, can Ethan pick that up and it goes into his inventory? And he has melee weapons that you can actually wield and socket.
Or can he
reverse
as well? And stuff like that? Reverse them?
Or
Remember
can
how,
he
like, Leon
grab
would do
them
that?
and reverse them with the weapons? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because we know you can block and stuff like that now. So like, can you turn that block into like a reverse attack? I think that would be cool if you could do that. Because I mean, why wouldn't Ethan pick up a sword if he can just slice right through him? I mean, obviously he has a handgun against him, like what we see in the trailer or in the showcase. But like, I think that would be really cool, just to add more of a melee weapon, another melee weapon to it.
It's very possible. And there's a lot of new gameplay mechanics and returning gameplay mechanics that we're going to break down in another video that will probably be coming out shortly after this one. We want to talk about because there's a lot of things that they showcased in the showcase, pun intended, I guess, that we didn't know prior to going into here.
Absolutely.
So it's good to have some official word.
Right.
What are your final thoughts on like the Duke and everything? Like, are you happy to see him return?
I'm happy to see him return. I think it's going to be a really cool thing for fans, because they specifically mentioned RE4 or the merchant from RE4, and then they mentioned RE4 again with the crafting system. So it seems like they are kind of leaning on that side of the audience, of people that like kind of missed the merchant, want them back, and wanted those upgrades back. And for me personally, that was one of my favorite things about RE4, was just getting everything and that grind and like selling. Like, that was always part of like just what I look forward to when playing through another rendition of RE4, no matter how many times I play through it and restart it on so many consoles. So seeing them bring back the Merchant / the Duke in this situation is really cool, and it's also refreshing because they're trying something new. So I think it's going to be cool, and hopefully it brings a good balance to the gameplay. What about you?
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it because some of the problems that I had with the Merchant in Resident Evil 4, as far as like not being able to buy ammo from him, not really having that kind of like, it just felt like the Merchant was just about perfect, but he never quite felt like he was perfect to me. And hopefully they choose to space him out generously, but not as much as the Merchant in RE4, because I felt like the Merchant in RE4 was everywhere all the time. But you did make an interesting point about like being able to kind of swap pallets and stuff, swap loadouts, so to speak, to go to these different areas. And if it ends up being where there's 4 major areas in the game and we kind of go between them, I'm starting to wonder if the Merchant is going to move a whole lot. I also think that it could be interesting if there was 4 areas and 4 bosses, and you did have to get those 4 masks that we talked about in a previous video this week, and you could do them in any order.
Yeah,
which would
then you
be
can
more
really,
open world.
yeah, it really opens that up.
Not open time. World, but a little bit more open,
and it opens your options for combat.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's all I got really.
That's it about the Duke. And until we see any more stuff, we might see a little bit more on the combat side of stuff in the new demo and stuff that they bring out in a couple months. Obviously, as far as the Duke, though, that's all the information we got.
Yeah,
so we got some more. We'll keep you guys updated. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe, click the bell, and
we know that only 47% of you are subscribed. So
yeah, come on.
What are you doing?
Help us out.
If you're
we'll
watching
keep you in the
this,
loop.
Subscribe,
because
like
everything Resident Evil, Village,
I'm sure
Infinite Darkness, everything.
The 43% of you who aren't subscribed watch us regularly.
Yeah, and it's the 25th anniversary of Resident Evil. There's plenty of RE this year to
and
go
you
around.
Certainly ain't getting the celebration from Reverse.
No.
So celebrate with us.
Celebrate Village
with the Legacy live stream, which will be concluding on May 7th. Well, technically, yeah, May 7th at 12 a.m. with our 24-hour live stream of Resident Evil Village.
We got some giveaways to announce. We got some special stuff there.
We got some special
so
stuff.
Excited,
we got
guys.
some special.
The path to the
special
Village
stuff.
continues, and thank you for all the love and support. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
This video was brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, where users like Brittany Kempf make it possible to keep on delivering awesome content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.